Welcome to Criminal AF, and for those of you joining us for the first time, this is a true crime podcast. There will be talk of murder, rape, torture, assault, and pretty much any crime that would haunt your nightmares at any given moment. There will be detailed descriptions of said events, and there will be some vulgar language.
Like fuck.
We understand that Criminal AF is not for everyone, but we just ask that you at least give it a listen. If it's not for you, hey, thanks for checking it out.
See ya.
But if it is, welcome to the debauchery. The Backpacker Murders were several serial killings in New South Wales, Australia from 1989 to 1993. The story of these murders made their way to England, where a young man recalled similarities to his near-death experience with a man named Bill during his visit to Australia in 1990. This chance happening soon led authorities to the man responsible for these horrific crimes. I'm Dave Jari.
I'm Garrett Quarter.
And this is Criminal as Fuck. What's good, fuckers, and welcome back to another episode of Criminal AF. Once again, I am Dave Jari, and with me as always is my co-host Garrett Quarter.
How we doing?
Gotta give a shout out to our sponsor for this episode, HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why, Garrett, it's America's number one meal kit. To get our amazing offer of 16 free meals and free shipping, go to HelloFresh.com/CriminalAF16 and use code CriminalAF16.
And we always appreciate the support for the podcast.
100%, absolutely. We also want to recognize and shout out Ashley Driggers.
Ashley, how you doing?
How you doing? Lucy Miller from Yas Vegas.
How you doing?
And Tara Mazur, hope I got it right, for becoming our newest members of our fucked up debauched family. And also to Laura Shin for upgrading her membership.
Hey,
Laura. Thank you. You can become a member of the Debauched by joining our Patreon for as little as $2 a month for general support. Everyone gets access to our private Discord, and those who join the $5 tier, which, by the way, is now a 7-day free trial, Garrett.
Yes.
Did you know that?
Go get yourself a free trial. That gets you in the Discord for 7 days, and I'm telling you, you're missing out on a party over there.
Right. And
we got recipes, pet pictures, spouses, talking about fuck, marry, kills.
Yeah.
Two truths and a lie.
Cartel murders.
Yeah, you can go see the Cheeky's posting cartel murders left and right. It's you can get anything you want. There's great discussions over there.
Yep.
Join the familia.
That's right. So you can join our Ramirez tier at no cost to you for 7 days. And if you like what you see, welcome to the debauchery. If not, just cancel within 7 days. No harm, no foul.
See ya.
Yep. So anyway, with our Ramirez tier or above, you get all of our audible, video, and downloadable content, including the narrated scripts from every episode, Criminal AF short story 5-minute murder, where I discuss short true crime events in about 5 minutes, hence the name. Last week I did Jennifer Dulos. You remember Jennifer Dulos?
Yes,
from Connecticut. And now I'm working on Thor Christensen. So he's a real trooper. You can also get our Patreon.
A trooper is a great way to describe it.
Yeah, he's a real trooper. You can also get our Patreon-only bi-weekly podcast called Random AF, where we discuss anything and everything, and we don't hold anything back. Like last week, I think last week was our most random of random AFs.
Yeah, I don't even know how we got onto the subjects we got into.
They just like flowed right into the next.
Dave showed everybody the newest cock ring that he bought.
Hello, kids.
And that's videotaped. That's on video, too. So you get the video version.
Oh, my God. We went from, what did we talk about? We went from talking about stupid shit we did when we were 18, and then we discovered that...
the kid jumping off the boat.
The kid jumping off the boat.
Into the shark-infested Bahamas water.
Which animal would we rather be killed by?
Yeah. Dude, it just went everywhere. It went everywhere.
Yeah. I changed my answer, by the way. I want to be kicked in the head by a horse. Apparently, that's quick and easy.
Yeah, but if you live... You're going to look like fucking... You're
going to have a fucking...
Christopher Reed on your little scooter.
a horseshoe imprint on the top of your skull. What else did we talk? Oh, we went down the rabbit hole of what is Amazon After Dark. And...
Oh, yes. Yeah. We can't even talk about that.
Yeah, and let me tell you, Bezos is a freak.
Yeah, there's a reason why he's getting all jacked up. It's all those high elite sex parties he's going to.
Oh yeah, the shit that people can openly search for and buy on Amazon is
that I had no clue. By the way, you blew my mind with that one.
Well, I mean, I didn't know it was going to go that deep.
Yeah. We started Googling anything raunchy and crazy,
and you can find it on Amazon. I mean, it's just open to everybody to fucking look for. It's crazy. And you know, these things get 100% not safe for work, so it gets pretty fun.
Yeah.
Now, for the higher tiers, you get all of this, plus producer credits on every episode, some goodies thrown in like t-shirts, posters, coffee mugs, you name it. To choose your tier, just go to criminalafpodcast.com/support or click on the link in episode description. There are other ways to support Criminal AF as well. You can visit our show on Apple Podcasts, where you can leave a detailed review on why Criminal AF has had such a positive impact on your life.
And those reviews are huge for us, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
They really do boost us.
And something I just learned last week, apparently Garrett knew all this time, is that you can go to Spotify and there's actually questions and you can put polls on there and people can interact on these episodes. Yeah. So that would be great. Go to if you listen to us on Spotify, go to the episode and, participate in whatever you got there. And last but not least, you can be rocking our merchandise.
Go get you some merch.
Yes, sir. There are tons of designs and products to choose from, and you can find them all at criminalafpodcast.com/shop. Mail call. Prior to every episode, we send out an AMA on Instagram for a chance for your question to be answered on air. And today we have 3 of them. And the first is from Villette Family, and he asks, would you rather drown or be buried alive?
Ooh.
I mean, both you're going to run out of air.
You know, it's funny. Normally people say, would you rather drown or be burned? And that's an easy question. Drowned. Yeah, drowned all day.
100%.
Buried alive.
Yeah, this one is like you're going to suffocate either way.
Yeah, you're suffocating.
You're stopping breathing before you die.
And then, but there's almost like
you're not going to breathe. You know what
I mean? That's a tough one because being buried alive is, I feel like I'm not a claustrophobic person.
Ooh. Okay.
But to know that you're down there and you're not getting out,
and you can't get
and
out.
you're just
oh my god,
it's slow oxygen deprivation. So you're slowly the breathing's getting harder and harder and harder, and then you know what I mean. You start to you're reaching out for gasps of air and you're not getting them.
You know you're struggling.
Where when you drowned, your breath is being held the whole time until you pass out.
Or sucking in a whole.
Or you suck in a whole bunch of water. Once you start and you can't hold it anymore, then you will take that gasp that'll eventually kill you.
Right.
So, that's a hard one. I think I'm gonna go drowned. And I know there's people that say drowning is actually very painful. I've heard that too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just think of like put it in context of you're drinking water or whatever, and it goes down the wrong pipe. What they say. Imagine like how much that sucks.
Oh,
just like a little sip of water going down the wrong pipe, and you're like, you fucking dying.
I mean, I'm not the smartest man in the room here, but I feel like you would like die instantly. Like as soon as you take that gasp, you're gone. You're blacking out, or at least you're not dying, but you're at least blacking out.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's a tough. I'm gonna say drowning because buried alive, it doesn't scare me. Like the claustrophobia doesn't scare me, but it just to be in a fucking coffin underneath all that dirt is.
Well, that's where I'm going with.
You're going buried.
No, I'm going with drown as well, because I am claustrophobic as fuck.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I can't even stand having blankets on me. Like it's that bad. So
are you a naked sleeper? Do you sleep naked?
I have pajama shorts, I guess you can call them.
Because I just in my head you said sometimes I don't like blankets, and I just saw you in your bed just completely like bare ass,
everything hanging out,
bubbles hanging out and stuff like that.
Morning wood just ding. No, I wear shorts.
Okay.
No, but yeah, so I'm claustrophobic. I'm so claustrophobic to the point where when I die, I don't even want to be buried.
Yeah, I know. Listen. Like that's an old timey thing.
No, I understand. I understand the concept of it, but just thinking of myself inside a box buried 6 feet under
creeps you out.
It sends shivers down my spine.
Getting eaten by fucking worms.
No, that part I could care less. It's just being in that box, even though I'm dead and I have no idea I'm in the fucking box. Just the thought of being in that box
creeps you out.
Freaks me the fuck out. So I'm gonna say drown as well.
Yeah, so 2 drowns.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Villette family, for that question. So next we have a question from Nixel Bixel.
What a name.
I love that name. Would you rather eat a meal prepared for you by Jeffrey Dahmer or Willie Picton?
Oh, Picton's good.
He also goes by Robert Picton, but Willie was his nickname.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to say mine. I'm going to eat a meal prepared for me by Willie Picton.
Willie Picton's good. I mean, all right, I'm trying to think of how the day is going to go. I'm going into depth.
Oh,
here,
okay,
right?
okay.
You know what I mean?
Lay out the story.
It's so funny because it's amazing how, remember how Netflix came out when they made the Dahmer series? They were like, hey, we don't want to dramatize him. We don't want to we don't want to fetishize him and make him like this thing. It's exactly what they did. Like women were fawning over Jeffrey Dahmer after that series happened. So in my head, instantly I go to Evans Peters' performance. Like when I think of Dahmer now, I don't think of the Dateline interview. I don't think of all those things. I think of Evan Peters in that stupid ass fucking wig. You know what I mean? Like that's what I think of.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm fantasizing he's taking me out to dinner. I'm one of his victims here.
Right.
He's feeding me a pork sandwich. That's kind of hot. I'm not gonna lie. A little candlelit dinner with Dahmer while he's doing that dance. But here we go. Picton was a partier, man.
Oh yeah,
hanging out with the Hells Angels in a slaughterhouse at a rave, popping Molly. Popping Molly, having a slaughterhouse rave, eating people's sandwiches and shit. That sounds kind of hot too.
I know.
I don't know.
It sounds like it'd be a much better time.
There's something like Texas Chainsaw Massacre that I like about Picton. You know what I mean? It seems grittier. Like
so like with Dahmer, the way I picture it, kind of like you say, because Picton's going to be like more of a party.
Yeah.
It would be fun. It's like a big barbecue.
You almost don't care that there's people in the hamburgers.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Now with Dahmer, he's going to be, oh, I made you this hamburger.
Eat it.
Can I take a picture while you're eating your burger?
Yeah.
It's like weird. It's awkward.
Yeah.
He's just a weird dude.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a great story. I mean, you painted a very good picture.
Yeah.
Mine's a little bit more simple. Okay, with Dahmer, you're actually getting human flesh. You're actually eating their butt meat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice slice of ham hock, no pun intended.
Yeah. Now with Picton, he fed his victims to the pigs. So in turn, he's going to cook pork, ham.
It's
bacon.
like
it's kind of like a.
We have cannibalistic pigs over here. All right. We're through second sources.
Right. Yeah. So you're not directly eating human flesh.
Well, no. The police said that we're pretty sure. It's not 100% proven that they were pretty sure he was using human remains, mixing it in with the pork sausage.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, people do say that humans taste like pork.
Yeah.
So, I mean, would you even notice?
No. And then you're at least getting 50-50. Dahmer, you're just getting a nice old slice.
It's kind of like the way I look at it. I'm still sticking with Picton, but the way I look at it is that like hot dogs or sausage or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like they're good, they're delicious. And then when people say, "Oh, do you know how a hot dog is made and what they're made of?"
Who fucking cares?
I'm like, I don't fucking care. It's good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I put worse things in my body here.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I would be the same way. Like if I went to a fucking cookout rave at fucking Willie Picton's house, and then like 2 weeks later they're like, "Hey, remember that fucking sausage you fucking ate or the bratwurst or whatever?"
There was people in it.
Yeah, there was people meat in there. I'm like, I mean, it was fucking good. So,
and as long as you stay away from key organs in the brain, you're fine. You're not gonna die. You're not gonna get some weird ass fucking disease. Like
exactly.
Just stay away from the brain.
So I think we're both going with Willie.
Yeah, Willie sounds more fun.
So
Dahmer's probably kind of a bore.
Yeah, that was a great question, Nixel Bixel. And finally, we have a question from Anna Marie 74, and she wants to know, what would be your murder weapon of choice, or would you be hands-on, like a little Michael Ross?
Well, I know yours.
The Strangler.
I know yours.
What's mine?
You would definitely be a hands-on.
You think so?
Yeah, you're definitely I don't know. You got that Strangler vibe.
It takes a long time to strangle somebody.
Yeah, but I feel like that would be your thing. You just like you get so
right, because like when you strangle somebody, like even after they pass out, like you still got to hold it for another couple minutes. Like they don't just because they pass out doesn't mean they die.
Yeah. Well, what would you?
And I'm not saying this by experience. I'm just saying.
Here, I'll let you answer. What is it? Okay. What's yours?
What's mine?
Yeah. It's hands. Come on.
Like I think I don't know. I would probably use like a sickle.
Yeah. Then you'd be known as like the sickler sicko or something like that.
The sickler slicer. I don't fucking know. It'd be like the Grim Reaper. Just go around just slicing people with my sickle.
That would create some good lore. That would definitely create some good lore. Because I don't think a sickle has been a primary.
No. And just imagine what you could do with a sickle. I mean, you could slash top to bottom.
Yeah. Plus, you get
sideways.
It's got a nice lengthy pole, so you could get some good leverage there.
You could decapitate. You could disembowel. You could bring it up and like go right up into somebody's asshole.
Jesus Christ.
I mean,
Dave.
there's so many possibilities, and just like fucking just rip it up.
Jesus.
Yeah.
You made it real graphic there.
Well, I mean, it's a question. What would you choose?
I'm kidding. For me, I know damn well it wouldn't be hands. Because honestly, let's be honest, I'm not the biggest guy. A girl could probably beat my ass. So I'm not gonna be able to hold down a girl fighting for her life. I get fucked up.
I'm not agreeing with you, but yeah.
It's okay. I get it. I know my place. So I'm gonna have to. I don't know. I would probably go.
Would you want to be like quick and easy, like quick? It's like
yeah. I'm not gonna put up a fight.
Oh, you're gonna like.
I'm not gonna put up a fight. I wouldn't torture. I mean, I'm not a. I don't. I feel like if I had to kill somebody, I wouldn't torture them. I'm not that type of person.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I would try to get it over with fast.
Because you just don't want to put in the work.
Yeah. And and I don't think I would generate enough energy for blunt force. Like, and then you'd
be surprised.
He or she'd be twitching, and I don't want to deal with that. I'm not a killer at heart, guys. I would probably go. I would very much jigsaw-esque. Like I would figure out a contraption. Like I'd go and spend like 10 grand on a trash compactor and just
push them in. Here, let me show you my new.
And then I just walk away while it was closing. You know what I mean? Like
I don't want to see it.
Yeah. And then you can build them into those nice little blocks.
Yeah. Stack them up.
Oh, that'd be imagine that.
Cubes of human bodies.
Yes, imagine that. That'd be a great find.
Oh, that would be.
That would make headlines, for sure.
I like that. How can we make that happen?
So I'm going trash compactor and then make a nice little stack of human squares.
I like it.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that went around.
That got kind of dark.
Yeah. That was actually a good question, too. So thank you very much, Anna Marie 74, and everybody else who sent in their questions. Again, before each episode, we'll send out an AMA on Instagram for your chance for your question to be read by us. Be sure to follow us at Criminal AF Pod on Instagram to be sure to get your questions in.
You know, Dave?
Yes.
We haven't been down here in a little bit. So let's check into Florida, baby.
Let's see what's going on in Florida.
Let's see what's going on in Florida. Florida man almost loses leg to flesh-eating disease after getting bitten in a family brawl. So obviously nothing's good going on in Florida right now.
Right. I do want to give a shout out to Shannon Hannon on Instagram. She's actually the one that brought us this story.
A Florida man almost lost his leg and could have died from a rare flesh-eating bacterial infection, which developed after he was bitten in the thigh during a family fight. Donnie Adams, a 53-year-old funeral assistant from the Tampa suburb of Riverview, went to the emergency room in mid-February to treat a bump the size of a dollar coin on his upper left thigh.
Yikes.
He was sent home with a tetanus shot and antibiotics, but the injury got worse over the next few days, became red, swollen, and painful to the touch. His thigh almost looked like an orange peel because of the swelling that was underneath it. A wound care specialist at HCA Florida Healthcare who treated Adams told NBC News, by day number 3, the leg was swollen. It was very warm and had problems with mobility and everything. Damn, that acting fast.
Yeah.
Brink said Adams told him that he sustained the bite while breaking up a family altercation.
Oh, those cookouts got wild.
Dude, I mean, what else do you expect from a Florida cookout?
Yeah.
Like, you're guaranteed to get a flesh-eating bacterial disease anyway. Like,
right. I mean, we're not impartial for,
I'm only here for the mac and cheese, and I left with a bacterial infection.
We're not immune to cousins getting a little wild at cookouts.
Yeah, hey. I mean, we're both not too. We've both gotten a little wild at a family cookout.
Yeah, we did.
He pulled them off each other, and in the process, he got bit. Why are you biting in a family fight?
I don't know.
I don't know.
First of all, how did he get bit? Did it say?
He said he pulled them off, and he just,
Right, but I'm trying to picture like the relationship to where they were positioned. Like, was he on the ground pulling them off, and the guy was just like, I'm gonna bite you in the leg, or was he chased?
What's crazy too is you hear people get bit all the time.
Yeah.
Why? Like, what was wrong with that person's mouth? What the fuck was?
There must have been something stuck between his teeth.
I bet you he was a real Florida man down there.
Oh.
If you're spreading bacterial infections.
He bit me with his tooth.
Black. Yeah, he had the black.
He had the black fang.
Black teeth.
Yeah.
He pulled them off of each other, and in the process, he got bit. The wound's appearance matched Adams' account, he added. When I saw him in the hospital, you could still see the bite marks on his thigh, Brink says. It made teeth marks. I was very convinced he was telling a true story. He said he rushed Adams to the operating room at HCA, Florida, Northside Hospital in St. Petersburg on February 19th. Adams underwent a second surgery several days later and then was released from the hospital on the second week. Adams declined to say what sparked the family dust-up or identify which relative bit him. That's a family man right there.
Whoa.
A family man.
Snitches get stitches, bitches.
I love this. Family is everything. Yeah. After you just went to the hospital with a flesh-eating bacteria, his last quote to the news was,
I love this man.
Family is everything.
I love this man, yeah.
Family is everything, and sometimes things go down in families. He said, I'm a man of faith. People can be forgiven, and that's the way I feel about that. It was a family event that went sour between two people, and even though I got in the middle of it, I got injured. It doesn't mean I'm going to hate my family over this.
Good man.
What a good man. And you know what I mean? Everybody can take a little piece of that because it's so true.
Right.
Everybody,
you have your little spats.
Everybody hates somebody in their family. Not
at a certain point.
At a certain point.
Right.
There's always some dispute, and you got to just get over it because you're blood.
Yeah.
I love that. What a great ending to a Florida man.
I actually I like this last little sentence here.
Dude, look at his leg.
I know.
Oh.
Ooh, that's fucked up. That's gonna be scar forever.
So even if your crazy, black-mouthed cousin bites you at a family brawl
with his one tooth,
you gotta love him.
Rotted out. Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's not his fault that he.
Oh man, Florida's crazy.
Imagine your first reaction to attacking somebody is to bite them. Like I've seen grabbing hair. I've seen headlocks.
Yeah, it's almost a bitch move, to be fair.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like somebody, like your go-to move is to bite somebody. What are we, 5? Now I remember I read somewhere with the story also is that he was probably a day or two from having his leg amputated. That's how bad it was.
No, all right, I take everything back. If I got bit, I don't care. I'm not gonna be and I lose my leg over this shit.
Oh, somebody's going down.
Sorry, I'm not. There's no family is everything.
Somebody is going down.
Especially because I was trying to do something good and break up a fucking fight, and I lost my leg because of it.
Now, if
nobody's coming to Thanksgiving.
Now, with this, the way it turned out, I can understand where his forgiveness comes from. It is family. You don't want to see your family get in trouble. But yes, you're right, 100%. If I'm losing a fucking limb because of your snaggletooth, you're fucking going down.
You're a Komodo dragon mouth. The fuck, dude?
Oh man, fucking Florida man, holy shit. Well, we can't assume if it was a Florida man. It could be a Florida woman. It doesn't say who the biter was. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm sure we could share our own fucking family stories.
Yeah, we could go on for a while in this one.
Yeah. So, Criminal AF will be back after this quick break. Now back to Criminal AF. But today, we're going to jump right into our story of Ivan Milat. Now, this dude was a fucking waste of breath ever since he was fucking born, right? He was one of, I think it was 15 kids. They lived on fucking dirt floors in their house. In Australia.
Tarantulas and spiders and snakes running around.
Living right amongst it, yeah. So it's a pretty interesting story, how it all happened and how it came to an end. And we'll get right into it with chapter 1. There are many things Americans think of when someone speaks of Australia. They see visions of the Great Barrier Reef off the coast of Queensland, the Opera House in Sydney, New South Wales, the art and fine cuisine in Melbourne, Victoria, the wine regions in South Australia, the beautiful collaboration of desert and pristine coastline in Western Australia, the Red Rock in Northern Territory, the mountainous island of Tasmania, the memorials and Parliament in Australian Capital Territory, and of course, Americans think of kangaroos. Lots and lots of kangaroos. There's a specific area in Australia that many Americans have no idea exists. It's a vast area of planted pine mixed with native forestry covering about 3,800 hectares, or a little over 9,300 acres, located in the southern highlands of New South Wales, just southwest from the town of Berrima. It's called the Belanglo State Forest. Mostly known for camping, hiking, and bike trails, in the late 80s and early 90s, Belanglo provided another activity as well. And as you will learn, it is this activity you want absolutely nothing to do with. murder. On September 19th, 1992, two runners were navigating their way through the pines when they encountered the strong, putrid odor of death. And after investigating further, stumbled across the partially hidden, decomposed remains of a woman. The next day, another woman was found. Just over a year later, in October of 1993, a person searching for firewood came upon human bones, and soon after, two more bodies were found. Then on November 1st, skeletal remains were found in a clearing on an old fire road. And finally, on November 4th, two shallow graves were discovered 50 meters apart. Where did these people come from, and what stories did they have to tell? It wasn't until a man from England came forward and detectives dusted off a key piece of evidence that the final moments of these 7 people would shake the entire region to its core. "24-year-old Paul Onions had recently left the Royal Navy when he decided he wanted another adventure and backpacked through Australia, with the possibility of getting a job and settling in. He took a flight from Birmingham, England, and flew to Sydney. When he arrived, he stayed in a youth hostel for a bit, before deciding to hitchhike down the Hume Highway. It was January 25th, 1990. Paul stopped at a market to get a drink when a man named Bill approached him. Seeing that Paul was carrying his backpack, Bill asked him if he wanted a ride. Paul surveyed the situation, and Bill seemed like a friendly man, so he accepted. The conversation between Paul and Bill was cordial for a good distance down the highway, when Paul noticed that Bill's demeanor began to change. Bill went from jovial to agitated to quiet in what seemed like a minute. Paul recalls seeing the sign for the Belanglo State Forest when Bill suddenly pulled the car to the side of the road, saying that he needed cassette tapes because the radio reception was bad. Paul thought that this was awkward because there were tapes in between the seats. Bill stepped out of the car to reach under the seat, and Paul stepped out to stretch his legs. Bill became excited and yelled at Paul to get back in the car. They both got back in, but Bill had to step out once again. That's when he pulled a gun on Paul and told him it was a robbery. Bill threw rope at him and told him to tie himself up. That's when Paul decided to make a run for it. He quickly escaped the vehicle and began running up the Hume Highway. Bill fired a shot at him, but missed. As Paul was trying to stop oncoming vehicles, Bill caught up to him. After a brief struggle, Paul escaped his grasp and ran in front of a car to make it stop. Paul jumped into the car and begged for them to get him out of there. The driver of the car, Joanne Berry, first told Paul to get out of the car. But once she understood the seriousness of the situation, she put the car in reverse, turned around, and headed to the nearest police station. Both Paul and Joanne gave their statements to the police, but because they weren't aware of the true nightmares that were occurring in Belanglo Forest, their statements were pushed to the wayside, which in hindsight proved to be a deadly mistake, because the man that picked up Paul outside of Sydney was not a man named Bill. He was a man who was very well known to the police. His real name was Ivan Milat.
Dude, you write so well. I don't think you realize it. I don't think you even realize it. Like, you hit all 3 like the main focal points of
each
writing.
state. Of writing?
Yeah, you hit.
What are they? I don't even know what
Description.
they are.
Yeah. You do this descriptive writing. You do synopsises, which are like comparisons and all that stuff, and then you forgot what synopsis, description, synopsis, and whatever the last one is.
Conclusion.
No, it's the way you write.
Right.
I forget. It's like it's the way you put somebody in a story. Where there's many things Americans think someone speaks of. They see visions of the Great Barrier Reef off the coast of
now you're thinking
the
of
Opera House.
Now you're thinking of that.
Yeah,
you're putting them into the story. Yeah, I gotcha.
Like, you do it. I forgot that there's 3 pillars to story writing. Kangaroos, lots of kangaroos.
Lots and lots of kangaroos. So we'll start this off going into a little bit of how much of a piece of shit fucking Ivan Milat was. So like in the 1950s, he actually began an affair with his brother's wife, Marilyn Milat.
Strike one.
Yeah, strike one. This would go on for nearly 11 years until 1965 when Marilyn gave birth to Ivan's love child.
Ugh.
Imagine that. If you had a brother.
Your own brother.
Find out.
Wow.
It's been going on for 11
That happens
years.
a lot more than people think.
Yeah. So and in 1971, Milat was charged with the kidnapping and rape of 2 hitchhikers. You know, he got arrested, charged. He was released until, his trial. But he faked his
Imagine releasing someone after a violent crime like that. Like that's red flags galore.
Right.
Laws were so different back then. There's no way that person's getting bail in today's society. For a kidnap and rape?
Listen, countries...
I mean, if you can pay for the...
Different countries are...
If you can do $1 million bond, sure.
Yeah.
But...
See, like in the United States, we pretty much arrest and jail fucking everybody.
Yeah, and then they throw an insane amount on their bail,
right.
and they're just going to sit there.
Other countries aren't like other countries, it's... What was that serial killer from South America? He killed over 300 fucking people. And he served fucking 10 years in prison. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like different countries.
Mexico too.
Yeah. Different countries have different laws. Like I don't know what Australia's laws.
Colombia, Pablo's hitman who killed like 700 people.
Right.
He served like 6 years in jail or something like that.
Yeah. And now, they disappear and nobody knows where they are and they're off fucking killing more people, I guess.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the deal is with Australia now, but I know it's extremely rare to get like a life sentence or who was it? The one we did, Catherine, what was her name? Catherine Knight.
Yeah, Catherine Knight.
What was it at the time? She was the first woman to receive a life sentence.
A life sentence, yep.
You know what I mean? And that wasn't like too long ago. That was only maybe 20, 30 years ago.
Look what she had to do she had to skin her husband and hang him up on a clothesline to get life sentence.
Use him as like a door screen.
And then cook a nice dinner.
Yeah. So anyway, in 1971, he was charged with kidnapping and rape of 2 hitchhikers. All right. Now, to get out of this, he faked his own death. And he fled to. Imagine that. I guess he left his shoes at a popular suicide spot.
Like he took off his shoes and jumped.
Which is crazy that there's a popular suicide spot, but hey, whatever. So yeah, he left his shoes at this spot and people were like, oh, he must have taken off his shoes and jumped. Why would you take off your shoes and jump? Who the fuck knows? But anyway, so he faked his own death. And then he fled to New Zealand for 2 years and then bounced around from place to place in Australia. And by 1974, he was caught. He was arrested again for the same charges. However, get this, he was eventually acquitted for these crimes, thanks in part to their family lawyer. Now,
must have been a good lawyer.
Well, listen, when you have fucking 10, 15 fucking fuck ups as kids, you might want to have an attorney on retainer.
Yeah.
A good one. So in 1977, Milat again attempted to rape and kidnap 2 other women, but he was never charged for this crime. I guess there wasn't enough proof or whatever. So we're starting to see a pattern here. Okay.
Clearly.
Yeah. So in 1983, Milat, I think at the time he was in his 40s. He met a 16-year-old girl named Karen Duck, who was pregnant with his cousin's baby.
What in the outback?
They were married the following year.
What in the out? Sounds like a Florida Man story. Yeah. No, I'm kidding.
No, it is. It's legit. This is like some backwood,
Ring-a-ding, ding, 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 ding.
This is some Appalachian fucking shit,
Hey.
But they were separated 3 years later in 1987 due to severe domestic violence by the hands of Milat. All right, so after their separation and divorce in 1989, he fucking goes off the fucking deep end. And
nothing else to live for.
He turns to extreme levels of violence. So, which brings us to the story of Paul Onions. I mean, at this point, what was it, 1992 or 1990 this one went down, whatever it was?
He started in 89, so at this point, he's going on a killing spree, robbing people.
Oh, yeah.
And then
picking up all these hitchhikers.
Yeah. You going to Australia to go visit the outback, see the nature, right? Yeah. See nature, go out in the woods, drive around, and you get robbed at gunpoint in the middle of nowhere, and then you decide to run, and you're getting shot at, and then you get chased down.
Imagine that shit.
That is terrifying. You're on back road in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
You manage to escape, And then you're running and you look behind you and some dude is just, oh my God.
Popping off shots.
Yeah, there's nobody for miles. You're lucky. He's lucky that he even had that,
he's lucky.
He's completely lucky that that woman, Joanne, was driving down the road.
Yeah, and that's just like the beginning of the story. Basically for this, because they actually went to the police and the police were like,
No, we don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, like whatever. I mean, some crazy guy, whatever, you got away, you're fine. Now, if they had, they may have, stopped another handful of fucking murder. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's a growing trend on this podcast.
Right. Because
we always highlight the fuck-ups of, you know what I mean, law enforcement here.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's basically like a bunch of fucking Keystone cops are like, well, you got away, you're fine.
Yeah. See Outback, baby. It's crazy out here.
You're over exaggerating. Don't be fucking drama. So we'll go into just a tad bit more about Ivan Milat, and we'll go into some of the victims of his murder spree. Ivan Milat was the fifth of 14 children born to Stephen Milat, a migrant from Yugoslavia, and Margaret, a native Australian. When the two first met in Guildford, New South Wales, Stephen was 32. Margaret, just 14 years old. They married 2 years later. Stephen worked long and hard as a wharf laborer to support his large family, leaving before the sun came up to catch a train into Sydney, and came home when it was dark, which left him little time to truly be a father to his clan. Many of his children grew up to push the limits of the law, with Ivan making a name for himself as a juvenile. Known to display antisocial behavior, Ivan was sent to Boys Town at the age of 13 after displaying violent acts against animals, where he would chase and butcher animals with a machete. He would go on to commit a series of crimes throughout the years, from petty theft, break-in, entering, and car theft, spending time in and out of prison during this period, which would ultimately lead to more violent crimes. In 1989, two friends from Frankston were last seen on December 30th in Sydney as they were heading off to Albury for Confest. 19-year-olds Deborah Everest and James Gibson were on a trip of a lifetime, having hitchhiked from Frankston to Sydney, where they were to meet up with friends, and they would all travel to Albury. However, when Deborah and James arrived, their friends had already left. For Deborah, this was all new territory for her. She had never traveled far from home, let alone hitchhiked. After some persuasion from James, she approached her mother to ask permission. At first, Deborah's mother was a little skeptic, but James assured her that as long as he was with Deborah, nothing bad was going to happen. After some thought, Deborah's mother gave them her blessing. They were both excited when they reached Sydney. Deborah called her mother and told her all about the Sydney harbor with a promise to send a postcard. Then, the communication stopped. James and Deborah's remains would be found in the Belanglo State Forest on October 14, 1993, nearly 4 years after they were last seen or heard from. They were the third and fourth victims to be found. Three German natives would also go missing within a year's time in 1991. First, Simone Schmeidel, 21, known as Simi to her friends, would disappear on January 20th, 1991, as she was on her way from Sydney to meet her mother in Melbourne. Her mother was flying in from Germany to join Simone for a camping holiday. When a friend advised Simone on the dangers of hitchhiking, she presented a tourist brochure that said hitchhiking is safe and all Australians were warm and friendly. I think it's safe to assume that this brochure is no longer in publication. Then, 21-year-old Gabor Neusbauer and 20-year-old Anja Habschied departed the Backpackers Inn in King's Cross on December 26, 1991. Their plan was to hitch from Sydney to Adelaide, South Australia, then to Darwin, Northern Territory, with a quick stop in Asia before heading back to Germany. The last person to hear from them was Gabor's mother, who said she received a call from him mentioning how difficult it was to sleep in the sweltering Australian heat. Simone, Gabor, and Anya were found on November 1st and November 4th of 1993 in a clearing along a fire trail. They were the 5th, 6th, and 7th victims found. They may all still be missing to this day if it weren't for those joggers in September of 1992 who came across one body, and a day later, another of both 21-year-old Carolyn Clark and 22-year-old Joanne Walters. All right, so we talked enough about Ivan Milat in this story. I want to kind of focus in on some of the victims here. We first talk about Deborah Everest and James Gibson. And actually, one of our friends on Instagram, Bella, she's a native of Australia. She was actually friends with Deborah. So we talked a little bit about her and James Gibson. Now, when their bodies were found, there's speculation on what had occurred, but they can kind of detail by how the bodies were found and what actually possibly occurred. And basically what they're saying is that when their bodies were found, James was found in a fetal position with 8 knife wounds in his back and spine, one of which at least would have rendered him paralyzed. Oof. And the others would have penetrated his heart and lungs. So all blows to the back, okay? Deborah, she was savagely beaten. Her jaw was broken. She had 2 major skull fractures, knife wounds to her back and her head. So basically what they believe is that Milat would stab James first in the back, rendering him paralyzed. You know, he's helpless.
Kind of precision right there.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing. This
isn't the first time people had their spinal cord severed, okay? So he actually knew exactly how to fucking take people out. So he was left paralyzed, helpless, and probably still alive to hear the horrors of Deborah being
brutally
beaten, raped, stabbed. And then Milat would return to James and repeatedly stab him in the back to deliver the death blows to his heart and his lungs.
Wow.
Like, this is precision fucking stabbing. Like, this is not something you just fucking like pick up on. This is like years of fucking hunting both animals and humans. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's an Australian guy. He probably did a lot of hunting too.
Yeah, and we talk about a little bit later how he would get pleasure out of like torturing fucking animals and shit.
Of course.
So I mean, this is a learned skill that took years, if not decades, to fucking master. Next, we talk about Simone Schmeidel. She was discovered to have received at least 8 stab wounds, 2 of which would have severed her spinal cord, and the rest puncturing her heart and lungs. So again, precision stabs, knows exactly where to fucking hit. Now there was clothing that was found nearby Simone, but it didn't belong to her. So a little bit more searching. This is what led them to find, and this is what led to the discovery of Gabor Neusbauer and Anya Habshid. They were both in shallow graves nearly about 50 meters apart. Now, Gabor was shot in the head 6 times, and Anya had been decapitated. So a little different method.
But still so violent.
Yeah. So despite an extensive search, Anya's head was never found. So I don't know if it was taken as a souvenir, if he took it and disposed of it somewhere else, who knows. And, what we'll learn about later is that Milat never talked about these murders, never confessed, never fucking, I never did this, you're fucking crazy, I'm completely innocent, blah, 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 which makes you a big fucking piece of shit. Yeah. But anyway, we'll get into that.
Do you think it's worse if they confess and try to get the fame? Or do you think you said he was a piece of shit because he didn't confess to the murders? I almost think that trying to get fame out of it makes you more of a fucking psychopath.
Well, no, I'm not talking about fame, because like Ted Bundy, like we'll talk about Bundy. Bundy was all in it. He's like, look at me, eyes on me. Yeah, I'm
narcissistic.
Same with Israel Keys. I'm withholding information because that makes me more powerful and blah, blah, blah,
He liked to sit up on that stand and think he had something over him.
Right. And then there's like Jeffrey Dahmer. He's like, yes, I did this. Yes, I did this. Yes, I did this. I'm guilty. I did this. Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't seeking fame. He's just being like, okay, you got me. I did this. I have a fucking problem. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about.
I see what you're saying.
That's what I'm talking about.
confessing to them.
Like, yeah, you got
openly,
me.
Yeah.
Guilty as charged, you know? Not like, oh, you know, I want fucking this and this and this for, you know, details of how you know what I mean? And to not say anything at all when you've been proven.
Yeah, like when Bundy was defending himself in court, he asked the coroner to he wanted recap his details, and then he just sat there and was like
fucking getting bricked up.
And he just wanted to hear it. It had nothing to do with his defense. And then he was like, okay, no further questions.
No further questions. I just wanted to hear you talk about my fucking
sat there with a little fucking smirk.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so that's what I mean. If you can give closure to, you know, someone's family, I mean, why not just do it? I mean,
yeah, you're caught fair and square.
You're caught fair and square. You're gonna die, you know, in prison. Might as well just fucking get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I agree.
Yeah. You know, we'll continue on with this story, and we'll discuss 2 more victims, Carolyn Clark and Joanne Walters. You know, as well as what became of Ivan Milat in Chapter 3. English natives Carolyn Clark and Joanne Walters had met at a youth hostel in Sydney. They became fast friends and had made plans to travel together to see Ayers Rock in Northern Territory and a Nullarbor Plain in the Western Australia desert. But first, they needed money. They decided on getting jobs picking fruit in Victoria before continuing their travels. They were seen just south of Sydney asking for directions to the Hume Highway, and then vanished. The news of the backpacker murders made national headlines, and soon the story spread across the world. Which brings us back to Paul Onions. Now back in England, Paul heard the story of the bodies found in the Belanglo forest. Recalling his own experience, he decided to follow up with police in Australia. With only the name Bill and the Nissan Patrol he was driving, police eventually turned their sights on the Milat family, where they learned that Ivan had sold a Nissan Patrol shortly after the discovery of Carolyn and Joanne. It was discovered that Ivan had used his brother Bill's name to get jobs, register vehicles, and apparently to introduce himself to hitchhikers. Paul was flown in to view a lineup and pointed to Ivan Milat as the man he encountered back in January of 1990. Police used this new information to get warrants to search a number of Milat family homes, where they found 24 weapons, 4 of which were used in the murders. They also found numerous items belonging to the backpackers that were given to family members as gifts. Ivan Milat was arrested on May 24th, 1994, first for the kidnapping and assault of Paul Onions, then with charges for the 7 backpacker murders. He was convicted and was given 7 life sentences for the murders, as well as 6 years each for the attempted murder, false imprisonment, and the robbery of Paul Onions. After spending over 2 decades at Goulburn Supermax Prison, Ivan Milat was transferred to Long Bay Correctional Center to spend his final days on this earth. On October 27, 2019, Milat passed away due to terminal throat and stomach cancer. There has been rampant speculation throughout the years that Ivan Milat had an accomplice. Most believe it to be one or more of his brothers, as they were found in possession of items belonging to the victims. There was also a lock of hair that was found in the grasp of Joanne Walters, and initial testing was shown that the hair didn't belong to either Joanne or Milat. However, police have conducted numerous extensive interviews with several family members, friends, and acquaintances of Ivan Milat, and all have since been cleared. Police also saved 6 strands from the initial lock of hair, and with advanced technology, it is now known to be that of Joanne. So this particular case against Ivan Milat is closed. There are no other suspects, and any conspiracy theories will fall short of facts. However, the Milat name wouldn't fall too far off the police's radar, as in November of 2010, Matthew Milat, Ivan's nephew, murdered his 17-year-old friend in the very same forest as his uncle. But that is a story for another time. Criminal AF will be back after this quick break. Now back to Criminal AF.
Dave, let me just tell you, I love the way you ended that story too, because God, you can't. There's no conspiracies. There's nothing. It's cut and dry, clean case. But that's a story for another time. You kept the conspiracy going, and I love it.
So whenever we talk about these stories, I like to, for lack of a better way of explaining it, I like to get like an insider point of view, whatever. Because we talk about different things. Michael Ross, like the main story of Michael Ross, you never hear that he was a necrophiliac. He never went back and had sex with the bodies or masturbated on them, whatever. It's hardly ever
spoken about.
But
that was a key thing.
Because Ross is near and dear to our hearts in the state of Connecticut.
Correct.
And we know people who know part of the story. Like I know someone who is involved.
Yeah. So same with me. My neighbor growing up with her best friend.
Ross was 100% a necrophiliac.
Yeah.
He went back and had sex with these girls' corpses.
That was a key turn on for him.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's I'm surprised it's not talked about more.
Yeah. Now, so and with this story, like I was talking with Bella, I asked her because it's never been proven that Milat had an accomplice, but it's been speculated. Now, when I was talking with Bella, I was like, do you think that he did this alone, or do you think his brothers were helped him with this? Because as we talk in the story, his brothers had a lot of were in possession of a lot of the items from these victims. His brother's wife had one of the shirts, that belonged to I believe Carolyn, and she says that basically, she can't speak for everybody in Australia, but the belief is that Ivan Milat 100% had help.
Yeah, it almost seems like that type of hillbilly rednecky family that terrorizes people.
Right.
Very much Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like
The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah, like that definitely gives off those vibes.
Right. Now, and when you look at, the Milat family, I'm not saying all of them are fucking shitbags.
Yeah.
But a good portion of them are shitbags.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, we have a couple more murderers in the family too. So.
Right, yeah. It trickles down to the fucking nephew. But, so let's go into, basically the perception is, or the belief is that there are more Milats that are part of the story that's not spoken of or hasn't been confirmed or whatever, but that's the belief. But we'll go into, actually Caroline and Joanne, when they were found, the scene kind of painted a horrific story. Joanne was found with a total of 14 stab wounds. Okay. 9 of these wounds were in her back, which each of these 9 wounds would have paralyzed her. They're all blows to the spine. She had 1 wound in her neck, which would have been fatal as well, and 4 wounds to the chest. Each of them would have been fatal. So these are precision blows, right?
It's also interesting that, there were some victims that were found killed a specific way, and some victims that were found a different way.
Exactly.
He never took anybody's head. Now all of a sudden he's taking heads.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Different methods, different manners, different...
Because there's a clear pattern in some of these.
Right. And it's very rare for a serial killer to break.
Unless he's trying to hide his case or you know what I mean? Let the trail go cold.
You bring up a very good point, Carol. I'm proud of you. That was good.
Thanks.
It's very thought-provoking. Holy shit. Now you got my head spinning a little bit.
Yeah.
And again, this was very knife stab precision, but yet Caroline, she was found shot in the head 10 times, with each shot appearing to be strategically placed.
Oof, there's not much left after getting shot in the head 10 times.
Correct. Now, because of these precision shots, it's believed that she was used as target practice. Like basically...
Ooh, that's a sucky way, man.
Yeah.
That's a sucky way to go.
Like basically tied to a tree or something where she can't move, and they just stood... I say they, him, whoever, stood back and chink, 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 10 times in the fucking head each. That's
a psychopath right there. Like, woo, you almost got her there, Bill.
Yeah. Fucking nuts. So as horrible and horrific as these murders were, there are several more that police have been or had been wanting to speak to Milat about in hopes that he would at least confess to something.
Yeah.
All right. So these unsolved murders, they date back to 1971. And bear with me, there's a few. So the first was Karen Rowland. She was 20. She was last seen alive on February 26, 1971. She was supposed to pick up her sister to attend a party in a nearby town. And when it was decided at the last minute that her sister would ride with her fiance, okay? When she didn't show up to the party or arrive at home later that evening, she was reported missing. On May 13th of that year, her remains were found at the Air Disaster Memorial. She was found laying on her back with her clothes pulled down past her knees. And because of decomp, they couldn't determine cause of death, but she was identified as being Karen Rowland. Now, Milat's connection to this is that the day of her disappearance on February 27th, Milat had bragged to co-workers that he killed and buried someone in the bush. Okay. And I guess the area of the Air Disaster Memorial is considered the bush. Then we have student nurses Robin Bartram and Anita Cunningham. They're both hitchhiking from Melbourne to Bowen to visit Robin's mother on July 4th, 1972, when they both went missing. In November, a body was found under a bridge along Flinders Highway, which turned out to be Robin, naked from the waist down and shot in the head twice by a .22 caliber rifle. Anita has never been found. Now, his connection to that would be the same MO and caliber rifle as the Belangolo killings. Then there was 18-year-old Gabrielle Janke and 16-year-old Michelle Riley, who went missing in October 6, 1973, when both were last seen entering a taxi. Now, a week later, Gabrielle's remains were found along the Pacific Highway at the bottom of an embankment, and 10 days later, on October 23rd, Michelle's remains were found discovered along the side of Mount Tambourine Highway. Now, both were bludgeoned to death, and their clothes were pulled down in the same manner as the other women. And this is how they connected this one because of the clothes, arranged in the same way as the victims that they knew that he killed. Another one was Leanne Goodall. She was 20. She was last seen alive on the afternoon of December 30th, 1978 at the Star Hotel in Newcastle. She was to attend college classes at Newcastle Technical College when she disappeared, and she has never been found. Now, Milat was known to stay at numerous hotels throughout this region during this time, with the Star Hotel as his most frequent. So that puts him in the same hotel, same area.
To think that, I mean, this is early 70s all the way to the late 90s. This guy was unchecked, doing horrendous, like literally being a terrorizer for that long without getting caught.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Now, in April of 1979, Robin Hickey, she was 18. She left home in Swansea as she was scheduled to meet her netball teammate at the Belmont Hotel. Robin never made it, and she was never seen again, alive or otherwise. And again, Milat's connection was that he was staying at a hotel near her place of employment at the time of her disappearance. So he could have been, tracking her. Another Swansea disappearance occurred around the same time on April 20th, 1979. 14-year-old Amanda Robinson was last seen getting off a bus after a school dance. Now, as with the case with Robin Hickey, Milat was staying at a hotel within the general vicinity of that disappearance. These are just a few of the fucking numerous cases that police were trying to talk to Milat about. But as with previous cases, and even with the ones he was convicted of, he denied any involvement, and he went to grave with all of these fucking secrets.
He could have been prolific. If he actually admitted to those. And let's hope at the end of this, guys, let's just pray that he suffered with his throat cancer, stomach cancer.
Oh, absolutely.
I hope he had a slow death.
Yeah.
And I hope there was not much help from the penal system.
We could hope.
Let's hope.
Yeah. He was a fucking shitbag. All right, so that'll do it for this episode of Criminal AF. That's Ivan Milat and the Backpacker Murders. Before we go, if you liked what you heard, go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a review or comment on the episode. And don't forget, you can become one of the debauched by joining our Patreon for as little as $2 a month for general support. Everyone gets ad-free episodes and access to our Discord channel. Those who join the $5 tier or above, 7-day trial, get all of our Audible video and downloadable content, including narrated scripts from every story, 5-minute murder, our Patreon-only Not Safe for Work bi-weekly podcast, Random AF. For the higher tiers, you get all of this, plus producer credits on every episode, some goodies thrown in, like t-shirts, posters, coffee mugs, etc. Just go to criminalafpodcast.com/support to choose your tier. Links to our support, socials, merchandise, reviews, and more in the episode description. Signing off from Studio Chloroform. Keep your head on a swivel and stay safe till next time. Now give me our theme music. See ya.